Hey there, and welcome to Speak Fluent with Armin. I'm Armin, your host, and this is the podcast where we help you become more confident in speaking English.
And I'm Jack, your co-host. We're here to guide you through interesting topics and teach you useful words and phrases, all while having a good time.
That's right. Today, we're talking about something a lot of people love, camping. Whether you're a camping expert or have never been in woods before, this episode is going to be packed with tips, vocabulary, and fun stories.
Exactly. Camping isn't just a great way to enjoy nature, it's also a perfect topic for practicing English. We'll cover everything from setting up a tent to roasting marshmallows over a campfire. You'll learn words and phrases that you can use not just in camping, but in everyday life.
So, if you're ready to boost your English skills while imagining yourself under the stars, stay with us. Let's get started. Jack, what's your favorite thing about camping?
Oh, definitely the peace and quiet, and of course the campfire stories. And by the end of this episode, our listeners will be able to tell their own stories in English.
Introduction to camping, an adventure in nature. Camping is one of the most popular outdoor activities worldwide. It's a way to escape the hustle and bustle of everyday life, reconnect with nature, and enjoy some quality time with friends or family. Whether you're setting up a tent in the middle of a forest, parking an RV by a serene lake, or hiking up a mountain to sleep under the stars, camping offers a unique experience that brings you closer to the great outdoors. This text will explore the essentials of camping, including planning, packing, setting up camp, enjoying the outdoors, and some safety tips, all while incorporating useful English words and expressions that are helpful for learners.
So, our text begins with the sentence, "Camping is one of the most popular outdoor activities worldwide." Right away, you can see that this sentence uses the superlative form, most popular. Now, Jack, why don't you explain how superlatives work?
Sure, superlatives are used to show the highest degree of something. When we say the most popular, we mean that camping is more popular than all other outdoor activities. For words with more than two syllables, like popular, we use most before the adjective. So, if you were comparing only two activities, you would use more popular. But because we're talking about the whole world, we use the most.
Exactly. And next, let's look at some key vocabulary. The phrase hustle and bustle in the text means the busy and noisy activity of daily life. It's a great expression to describe the chaos of city life. Don't you think, Jack?
Definitely. It's a fun phrase to use, especially when you want to talk about escaping the stress of work or a busy lifestyle. For example, you could say, "I'm going camping this weekend to get away from the hustle and bustle of the city."
Let's move on. The next sentence is, whether you're setting up a tent in the middle of a forest, parking an RV by a serene lake, or hiking up a mountain to sleep under the stars, camping offers a unique experience that brings you closer to the great outdoors.
This sentence uses a structure called parallelism, which means that several parts of the sentence follow the same grammatical structure. Armin, can you walk us through why parallelism is important in English?
Parallelism makes sentences easier to read and more balanced. In this case, we have three activities: setting up a tent, parking an RV, and hiking up a mountain. Notice how they all start with an action verb, followed by the activity. This makes the sentence flow smoothly.
And if we didn't use parallelism, the sentence might sound awkward. For example, if we said, setting up a tent, park an RV, and hiking up a mountain, it feels off, right? That's why keeping the same structure is important.
Exactly. Now, let's talk about some keywords. First, tent. A tent is a temporary shelter that you usually use when camping. It's one of the most essential items for camping. Jack, do you want to explain another vocabulary words here?
Sure. How about serene? In the phrase serene lake, serene means calm and peaceful. It's a great word to describe a quiet and beautiful place in nature. For example, you could say, We spent the afternoon by a serene river.
Now, let's move on to this part of the text. Camping offers a unique experience that brings you closer to the great outdoors. The phrase, the great outdoors, is a common way to refer to nature, especially when talking about activities like hiking, camping, or fishing. Jack, have you heard this phrase used in any other context?
Yes. The great outdoors is often used when talking about getting away from modern life and enjoying nature. People might say, I'm spending the weekend in the great outdoors, meaning they're going hiking, camping, or just enjoying nature.
And here is another interesting phrase, reconnect with nature. The verb reconnect means to connect again. So, when we say reconnect with nature, we're talking about taking some time to enjoy and appreciate the natural world again, especially if you've been too busy with work or city life.
That's a good point. Now, Armin, how about we explain some grammar from the next part? The sentence is, this text will explore the essentials of camping, including planning, packing, setting up camp, enjoying the outdoors, and some safety tips.
Great idea! This sentence uses a grammar structure called gerunds. Gerunds are verbs that end in ing and are used as nouns. In this case, we have planning, packing, setting up camp, and enjoying the outdoors. Each of these verbs is acting as a noun in the sentence.
Exactly. So when you're talking about activities, gerunds are really useful. For example, you could say, I enjoy hiking, or he loves fishing. It's a simple structure, but one you'll use all the time in English.
That's right. And the phrase setting up camp means putting everything in place when you arrive at your camping spot, like putting up the tent, organizing your gear, and preparing the area where you will stay.
Perfect. Let's also look at the phrase asterisk safety tips asterisk at the end of the sentence. Tips are pieces of advice, and in this case, we're talking about advice on how to stay safe while camping. So, safety tips could include things like bringing enough water, knowing how to start a fire, or telling someone where you're going.
Yes, safety is a very important word in camping and outdoor activities. It means taking actions to avoid danger or harm. So, always remember your safety tips when you go camping.
Well said, Armin. I think we've covered a lot of useful grammar and vocabulary here. What do you think? Should we move on to the practical side of camping in our next segment?
Absolutely. Listeners, stay with us because up next, we will talk about what you actually need to go camping. From packing essentials to setting up a perfect campfire. Don't go anywhere.
Planning your camping trip. The first step to a successful camping trip is good planning. Before you head out, it's important to decide on a location. Do you want to camp in a national park, by the beach, in the mountains, or in a forest? Each location offers a different experience. For example, camping by the beach means you'll have easy access to swimming and sunbathing, while camping in the mountains might offer opportunities for hiking and breathtaking views.
All right, let's talk about planning your camping trip. This is the first step to a successful camping adventure, and it involves making important decisions, like where you want to camp.
Exactly. And this brings us to some key vocabulary. First, the word asterisk location asterisk. A location is simply the place where something happens. In this context, we're talking about where you'll be setting up your camp. You might hear this word a lot in English, especially when asking someone, what's the location of the meeting? Or, where is the location of the concert?
Good point, Jack. Now let's look at some of the grammar here. We use the phrase, the first step to a successful camping trip is good planning. Notice the word to after step. This is because to is used to show the purpose or result of something. So, when we say the first step to something, we mean the first action that leads to that result.
Right. You'll see this structure in sentences like, the first step to learning English is practicing every day, or the first step to becoming a better speaker is listening carefully. It's a very useful expression.
Now back to our topic. After deciding on a location, the sentence mentions different types of places: national park, beach, mountains, and forest. Let's break this down. These are all nouns, and they refer to different natural environments. A national park is a protected area where people can enjoy nature. A beach is where land meets the ocean. Mountains are large, natural elevations of the Earth's surface. And a forest is a large area covered with trees.
That's right. And don't forget the verbs that go with these places. For example, you can camp in a national park, sunbathe at the beach, hike in the mountains, and explore in the forest. Each verb gives you a clue about what activities you can do at these locations.
In the example sentence, we say, camping by the beach means you'll have easy access to swimming and sunbathing. Let's look at the phrase, easy access to. This phrase is commonly used to describe how close or convenient something is. For example, the hotel has easy access to the airport, meaning it's quick and simple to get there.
And another phrase to notice here is, offers opportunities for. When you say a place offers opportunities, it means that it gives you the chance to do something. For example, the mountains offer opportunities for hiking, or the city offers opportunities for job seekers. It's a great way to talk about possibilities.
To sum up, when planning your camping trip, think about your location and what each place offers. Whether it's sunbathing at the beach or hiking in the mountains, your choice will shape your experience.
Once you've chosen your destination, check the weather forecast. Knowing what the weather will be like is crucial because it helps you pack the right gear. If it's going to be sunny and warm, you'll need sunscreen, a hat, and lightweight clothing. On the other hand, if the forecast predicts rain, be sure to pack a raincoat, waterproof boots, and extra layers of clothing to stay dry and warm.
Okay, so let's break down a simple sentence. Once you've chosen your destination, check the weather forecast. First, let's talk about the word destination. Jack, do you want to explain this one?
Sure. A destination is the place where you're going. So if you're going on a camping trip, your destination could be a forest, a mountain, or even a beach. It's a word we use a lot in travel. You'll hear things like holiday destination or tourist destination, so it's a really useful word to know.
Now let's look at the phrase, once you've chosen your destination. Here, we are using the present perfect tense, you've chosen. This tense is used when talking about something that is already been completed but is still important in the present.
Right. The present perfect is formed with have or has plus the past participle of the verb. In this case, choose becomes chosen. So, once you've chosen, your destination means you've already made the decision, and now something else will happen.
That brings us to the next part. Check the weather forecast. The word forecast means a prediction about the weather. So, a weather forecast tells you what the weather will be like in the future.
Exactly. You can check the weather forecast on your phone or on TV. Now, let's move on to why the weather forecast is important. In our example, we said, knowing what the weather will be like is crucial because it helps you pack the right gear.
So first, the word crucial. This is a great synonym for important. It means something is necessary or very significant. For example, it's crucial to bring a tent when camping. You can't camp without one.
Right. And then we have the word gear. This is a general term for equipment or things you need for a specific activity. In camping, your gear could be a sleeping bag, tent, or hiking boots. It's a handy word to know because you can use it for lots of activities. For example, sports gear or fishing gear.
Now let's move on to the next part. If it's going to be sunny and warm, you'll need sunscreen, a hat, and lightweight clothing. First, the phrase going to be. This is an example of the future tense. We use going to when we want to talk about something that we expect to happen in the future.
That's a really important structure. We use going to when something is planned or certain. Like, I'm going to visit my grandparents this weekend. Or in this case, it's going to be sunny.
Now let's talk about the vocabulary here. Sunny, sunscreen, and lightweight clothing. Sunny means the sun is shining, and there is no cloud cover. Sunscreen is the cream or lotion you put on your skin to protect it from the sun. And lightweight clothing refers to clothes that are thin and not heavy, perfect for warm weather.
And then we have the contrast. On the other hand, if the forecast predicts rain, be sure to pack a raincoat, waterproof boots, and extra layers of clothing. On the other hand, is a great transition phrase that we use when comparing two different things. In this case, we're comparing sunny weather with rainy weather.
It's an easy phrase to use in conversation when you want to show a contrast. For example, I love the beach. On the other hand, I hate getting sunburned. Now, Jack, let's talk about waterproof and extra layers.
Sure. Waterproof means something that doesn't let water in, like waterproof boots or a waterproof jacket. This is essential for rainy weather because it keeps you dry. And extra layers means wearing more clothes. When it's cold or rainy, you need to wear several layers of clothing to stay warm.
So, there you have it. In just a few sentences, we've covered vocabulary like destination, forecast, gear, and useful grammar points like the present perfect and future tense.
And we've shown you how to talk about contrasting situations using on the other hand. These are all great tools for improving your English and talking about real-life situations like camping.
We hope this has helped you understand the importance of checking the weather forecast and how to prepare for different conditions when you go camping.
Stay tuned for more tips, and remember, practice makes perfect.
Packing for your camping adventure. Packing is another essential part of camping. What you bring can make or break your trip, so it's important to be prepared. Let's start with the basics: shelter, food, and clothing. Shelter and bedding. Your shelter is where you'll sleep, so it's important to have a good one. Most people use a tent when camping, but some might prefer a camper or RV. If you're using a tent, make sure you have all the necessary parts: the tent itself, tent poles, stakes, and a rainfly. A rainfly is a waterproof cover that goes over your tent to keep rain out. In addition to your tent, you'll need something comfortable to sleep on. A sleeping bag is a must-have for most campers, and for extra comfort, you might want to bring an air mattress or a sleeping pad. Don't forget a pillow either. Just because you're camping doesn't mean you can't be comfortable.
Let's start with the basics: shelter, food, and clothing. These are the three main categories you'll need to consider when packing for a camping trip.
Great point. First up is shelter and bedding. Shelter is where you'll be staying during your camping trip, and the most common choice is a tent. Make sure you know the different parts of a tent. For example, the tent poles are the structures that hold up the tent. Stakes are used to secure the tent to the ground, and the rainfly is a waterproof cover that goes over the tent to keep the rain out.
Exactly. And speaking of comfort, let's talk about bedding. For sleeping, a sleeping bag is essential. It keeps you warm and cozy. You might also want to consider bringing an air mattress or a sleeping pad. Both provide extra comfort and support while you sleep. And don't forget a pillow. Even though you're camping, you can still make your sleeping arrangement comfortable.
Let's break down some of the grammar here. When we talk about these items, we often use the phrase a good one or something comfortable. The word good is an adjective that describes the noun that follows. In this case, shelter. It means that the shelter should be suitable or effective. Similarly, comfortable describes something that provides physical ease or relaxation.
That's right. Also, notice how we use the definite article the before specific items like the tent poles, and the rainfly. We use the to refer to something specific that both the speaker and listener know about.
And when we use phrases like something comfortable or a sleeping bag, we are talking about non-specific items. Here, something and a are indefinite articles. They are used when we are mentioning items for the first time or when the exact item is not known.
Now, let's also touch on some useful verbs and nouns. For example, the verb to pack means to put items into a bag or container in preparation for a trip. You might say, I need to pack my tent and sleeping bag. The noun adventure refers to an exciting or unusual experience, which is exactly what camping is.
And don't forget about preparation. When we say it's important to be prepared, we mean you should make sure you have everything you need before you go. Preparation involves planning and making sure you're ready for anything.
Great points, Armin. So, to sum up, knowing these vocabulary words and understanding how to use them can make your camping experience much smoother. Whether you're packing your tent or choosing a sleeping bag, having the right words and grammar will help you communicate effectively.
Absolutely, Jack. We hope this helps you feel more confident about your camping trip. If you have any questions about camping vocabulary or grammar, feel free to reach out to us. And stay tuned for more tips and tricks in our next episode.
Thanks for joining us on Speak Fluent with Armin. Until next time, happy camping and keep practicing your English.